Today we have the honor of discussing how legislatures in the region are digitally transforming and modernizing their internal processes and how they are responding to crises such as the COVID-19 one. We are going to have two panel discussions during our gathering today. The first one is about how to make legislative data available to users, either internally or externally. And the second debate is about how to develop a digital transformation strategy that is user-centered. And today we have the pleasure of welcoming dear colleagues and friends here for this discussion. I am reminded to let you know that our esteemed guests will be on the Zoom application, but of course our audience on the YouTube streaming is also very welcomed, even more so those that are following us from Latin America and the US. That is late in the evening for us. So without further ado, I'd like to invite the colleagues of our first panel to start our discussions. First, Ari Hershowitz from Xcential Legislative Technologies, Robin Treistman from the Knesset of Israel, Satpal Gulati from the Sansad of India, and Shahin Hasanov from the Parliament of Azerbaijan. As I mentioned before, we are going to discuss a different topic, and I actually discussed with some of you the structure of this panel and how we try to bring different perspectives to this challenge on how to make legislative publication of data available to users. So you work on the back end, some of you work on the front end, some of you work on the private sector. So I want to explore a little bit of that with you. Before I start our questions, I'd like to ask for a very quick introduction of each one of you, like 30 seconds, 1 minute. Why this topic is important for you, what are you doing at this moment in your parliament. Just 1 minute, just for us to start and to break the ice. Ari, would you like to start? We're going to alphabetically.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Luís. Thank you to Bússola Tech for inviting me and all of the great events that you've had. My name's Ari Hershowitz. I work with Xcential Legislative Technologies. We're a private company and we consult for governments to help them modernize their processes and their publication of legislative data. So we're very much involved in the technology and the transformation and also working with the individuals in legislatures. My background is in software and even before that biotechnology. I became a lawyer and saw how limited a lot of legal processes are, and that's why I got into this in a desire to use some of my background in the sciences to improve the way that law works.
Thank you so much, Ari. Robin, some colleagues know you already, but some do not. Please feel free to make your introduction.
Yes, I'm Robin Treistman. I live in Jerusalem. I've been working at the Knesset, the Israeli Parliament, ever since the website of the Knesset started back in 1997. And so if, whereas there's some people that might be here on the back end, I'm definitely on the front end. Our approach in the website staff is really to take as much information from the internal workings of the Knesset, of the Parliament, and put it out there for the public to use. It's really their information. We only see ourselves really as how should we put it? We're basically hired by the public to make sure that the public has all of the information that they need. We are the legislative branch, obviously, that are part of the government or the governing system. We are not the government or the executive branch. So our needs are very similar to all other parliaments around the world. And that is, again, very minor interaction or providing services and things like that. We're basically there to make sure that anyone who needs information gets that information at the time that they need it. So a little bit of my personal background is I studied social work, and then somehow I landed up doing web design, and I want to say the word design actually, programming behind the scenes. Long story, but not for here. And I've been doing this for a long time, and my perspective is very long and wide. So I have some interesting things I really hope to say about this topic, and we'll do that later.
Thank you so much, Robin. Satpal, would you like to make a short introduction about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, first of all. And greetings to all of you. Today is a special day for all of us, because we are connected to the Parliament. It's the International Day of Parliamentarism. So congratulations to all of you. And as far as my role here in India is concerned, I'm basically the project leader for Digital Sansad. Sansad is basically the Hindi name for Parliament. So I'm otherwise from Indian Revenue Service, but being an engineer, I have a passion for technology, and this is how I'm taking this journey forward. And we'll discuss this in detail. Best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Satpal. Shahin, would you like to make a short introduction about you?
My name is Shahin Hasanov. I am working as a parliament of the Azerbaijan Republic. I am head of the IT department. My background, about 28 years I am working on the IT area. I am software programmer. I am writing on C++, assembler. At the same time, I think I am working on as a project manager as a Milli Mejlis. We are doing digital transformation as a Milli Mejlis. We had very good experience on that side. For me, interesting to learn, and at the same time, I share our experience. Thank you, Bússola.
Thank you so much, Shahin. I'd like to start our panel discussion. I think some of you might have seen the formats as we discussed previously. My idea is to have 4 rounds of questions, and I will direct each round to one of you, and all the others will have the ability to comment on both the question and also on the first person's response as well. The idea is to have as much interaction as we can out of these 80 minutes we have. And my first question goes to you, Robin. Basically, the better availability of information for both internal users, such as MPs, staffers, technical staff, and external users, such as citizens, they depend on a robust digital transformation strategy that considers many different aspects, such as the architecture of the output of information from different business areas and legislative activities. I can name a few here: Hansard, the drafting officers or legislative councils, the clerks, to name a few. My question is, in your opinion, what are the basic elements a legislature should consider in its digital transformation strategy that enables the better use of legislative data in different user interfaces, either a mobile app or a website as you currently run on your parliament, and allows for a more easy front-end developing for the teams?
Okay, I think I want to answer your question by telling a little bit of our story, because a lot of things have happened over the years, and as a result, the Knesset website staff has learned many lessons, which I think can be applied to, in answering what you just asked. So I'm going to go back for a second to 1997, when the Knesset website first started. The use of, or I should say, technical technologies were very limited back then. And again, we had started, there was a web and there was a way of getting information out to the public. We did not at the time have a direct means to take the information from the internal systems of the Knesset, which were functioning, which were actually, again, they would, compared to what is available today, especially I actually took a look at some of the Xcential stuff before this meeting. You know, what is going on today, obviously, it puts everything that we once had, you know, to shame in a way. But at the time, that was the greatest. You know, being able to take a Word document even and putting it out to the public was something, you know, amazing back then. So at the same time, there were the internal systems of the Knesset that was going on, which were, again, more or less running the legislative process internally. And then we had the website, and they were not connected. There was absolutely no connection. In fact, at the beginning, in terms of the approach, the staff always had to justify ourselves and why we're even there, and who needs a web page, a website. Nobody needs that or whatever. So it was always an uphill battle. In any case, in order to get the information out to the public, there were two things that happened. One was we built up our own internal databases for the website. All of the information of the Knesset members and their belonging to parliamentary groups or factions and their membership in committees, all of that information, we started our own on the side SQL database that ran all of this information, and we were able to very easily take it through classic ASP pages and put it up on the web for everybody. Meanwhile, how did we manage to take internal information from the parliamentary processes? Literally copy paste. We would go into the internal systems and we would copy the daily agenda for each and every committee, for every day, for every hour, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, until the information was on our end, on our side, the front end, and then put that up online. Even to the point where we would copy paste and create an HTML page by hand of the general agenda of the plenum. Okay, that was back then. The very first connection between the website and the parliamentary processes was basically for the agendas, because that was a lot of information that had to get out. And we were very happy that we didn't have to do copy paste anymore. That was very exciting for us. In the meantime, other databases that were connected directly to the Knesset members themselves and their own work history inside of the Knesset was on us. And I have to tell you, up until half a year ago, that part of that database was still in our hands. And this is the part of the story that I think is really important here. Over the years, we have learned that any kind of duplication is bad. Central location for data, good, because we were running, again, the Knesset members, you know, in and out of the parliament, their membership in their factions, their membership in their committees, all of that was managed inside the internal systems of the Knesset and by us as well. And by the way, it turned out that ours was more reliable. Our information was more reliable. And what we've been working towards over the last few years is, again, taking our information and putting it back into the internal system, because when you have one point of entry of any information, okay, and from there it goes to all of the internal systems and to the outside, to all of your app, to your website, to your mobile site, to wherever it is that you need, one place, because then there's only one place to make the mistake. All right, as soon as more hands touch the information between, you know, point of entry and then point of I guess, observation, or people who actually see the information, if more than one human, okay, ends up touching that, then there's so much room for error that you know, it's not funny, actually. I mean, it's funny, it's not funny. Anyhow, so that was a very important lesson we learned, and we're still in the process of applying it. We're not 100% finished, making sure that everything is coming from one central location. And just one more thought on this is that sometimes the human side of this gets very complicated, because we no longer have we don't no longer rule over that information, let's say of the information of a Knesset member. Now, Knesset members, former Knesset members, they have this habit of passing away on weekends. Okay. Now, I know that doesn't sound so relevant to this, but it does. It is, because when we put up a notice on our website that former MKX passes away, and then they click on his page and they go to his page and they see that as far as they're concerned, he's still alive. Okay. He doesn't have a date of death. Then there's a contradiction there. And the people who actually are the ones who now put the information in, it doesn't matter to them so much. So as far as they're concerned, you know, Sunday morning, we can put the information in. We don't have to put it in on Friday. So again, so there's a little bit of a, that can cause some conflict. And again, each organization has to figure that out. But, you know, again, that's really my main thrust here, is to tell everybody that one point of entry for the information. And then from there, everybody else gets it. That's what, you know, what we've learned and what I like to share.
Thank you so much, Robin. Satpal, would you like to comment on that for 4 minutes?
Yeah, thanks, Robin, first of all. Maybe one disclaimer I would like to put here, that whatever I'm speaking, don't take it as a as a government of India view. It's totally personal, so that may kindly be taken note of. Going ahead, I think the query posed for this debate is like this, that what are those elements which are critical for our digital transformation strategy, right? And if that is so, I would say there are 6 to 7 points which I would just like to flag. The very first point I would like to flag is the digital readiness of, let's say, the country, of the institution, of the public at large. So for an example, what is your penetration as far as internet is available, right? Because that's the dependency factor on that. Then your mobile penetration, then your technology or technical infrastructure, what you have in place, then what type of technology solutions you have. So the first point is the digital readiness. The second point is the wish list as far as the digital transformation is concerned should be like this, that availability should reach to each and every citizen. Now, once I decide that, the most important hurdle, which in my mind is the language. So can I think of the language barrier is taken care of? That means the technology helping me to cross that barrier of language. That's the point number one. Second, next point is it should be device agnostic. It should be format agnostic. Means I should be able to download it in any form, whether it is PDF, XML, text, doc, whatever that possible, it is there. Then the next thing to make the availability better is not only the textual thing I should be able to download. If I should, as a user, I should have the facility to download even the audio file or the video file, if that is somehow that thing is available with you. So the whole system should cater to not only the digital form in that sense, but even including the audio as well as the video part of it. Then even I would say that what I am finding for our honorable MPs, they want to interact with the computer through the voice interface. They want a voice assistance. So whether my technology can enable that part is another thing. And the last but the most important part is how I can cater to visually impaired citizens and how that information can even reach to them. So this is how I will sum up that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Satpal. Ari, I saw you taking notes. I think you want to comment on that. Please feel free to do it.
What Robin said really resonates with me, and I just want to underscore one of the things that Robin said, which is that better information for the public is almost always a means to get better use of that information internally. We've seen that in our work in the United States. And it was very interesting to hear Robin's explanation of how they gathered the information on the website to show to the public, and then other MPs or other parts of the Knesset were able to use that information, and it was maintained in a central location and accurately. I'll just give it one example recently from the United States. There is no current up-to-date version of the United States law that is officially published. There are pieces of the law, there are acts as they come out, but in order to compile all of those things, the offices in the House of Representatives work on that behind the scenes for their own use in order to write the next bills. And I can explain in lots of detail what that is and how that works. But when we started to work on publishing that information for the public so that you can see those compilations, the compiled law in the public form, it also comes right back to the use internally to have the more accurate, up-to-date information. So that's just to underscore, it goes both ways, that the work that is public-facing naturally will connect other parts of the parliament who often don't speak to each other as well as we would like them to.
Thank you so much, Ari. Shahin, would you like to share your thoughts on this?
But I would like to share with you our strategy, which we developed in 2006. It was current station of our application. And as a part of the system, we will be finished here. This must be our website. All information must be go to the website indirectly, without any manual issues, any manual works. But unfortunately, we do a lot of things, but we cannot come to the website. But now we do a lot of things by a manual. But in future, we think we will be developed this part of the site. But internally, we make our system comes all information automatically in our local website.
Robin, would you like to close this round with your comments on what the colleagues just said?
Yes. Well, first of all, I wish you luck that as soon as it's possible to make sure that there is no manual, to make sure that there is no more manual, what's the word, I guess, putting the information in to the website. I hope that you get there as soon as you can. And I wanted to say, so two things. First of all, I'd like to address what Satpal said as far as the very first thing that you mentioned is about digital readiness. And one of the things that we've had a situation with in Israel is that we had the opposite. People are more ready than we are to get the information than we were to provide the information. We at the Knesset, at the Knesset Parliament, were a little slow to make sure that our site is fully mobile friendly. People out there, people in Israel, there are more. I mean, I don't know if it's even gotten to be doubled. There are more cell phones in Israel than there are people. Okay, in other words, the mobile penetration into the market in Israel is really beyond anything that anybody can imagine. And people were there ready with their cell phones, and we didn't have mobile friendly site enough to really, in other words, we're actually catching up with the public and not the other way around. And we're finding that all the time, it's still happening. And in fact, the government offices in Israel have come to a point where anything that's developed now, mobile first, mobile first, mobile first. And we're still trying to say mobile at the same time, okay? We're trying to make sure that we can keep up with what the public wants. And it's a big challenge. And hopefully we're managing it. Every single new page that goes up on our website now is indeed mobile friendly as well. It's some of the older pages that we're really challenged with. Older pages that have very important information, such as some of the documents or lists of documents that belong to the committee work and stuff like that. We're not 100% there yet. We're getting there even as we speak. As far as I had wanted to say, as far as what Ari presented, I think I have something to say about it, actually, what you described about the law. Okay, right now we're also in the middle of putting up onto the website or developing for the website what we call the comprehensive law. Okay, similar to the United States, again, I don't know about other parliaments. Basically, you have the law as it was passed at first, and then you have the next amendment of the law, and then the next time it gets amended, and then the next time it gets amended. But if you look at, in order to really get the full spirit of that law or the understanding of the law, you need to read the law and all the amendments, and then try to say, wait a minute, this amendment crossed out paragraph B. Now I have to reread the original without paragraph B because amendment number 40 crossed it off or changed it. So how do I, as a citizen, see the very last version of the entire law of how it is read today? And there are two companies in Israel, private companies in the private sector, who actually do that service. They've been providing that service for years, which is great for someone who needs it and also someone who can pay. The Knesset website and the legal department of the Knesset have been working on our version of that, and actually that hopefully within the year, that's going to go up for all the citizens to actually get to that for free. And we're very excited about that. But yes, that is definitely, again, it is challenging. Being able to also put up a document that is basically, how do you combine in an automatic way, which is not automatic, it all has to be done by a human, all of these little pieces of the puzzle onto one document. So that's still being solved, at least in the, with the developers by the Knesset. Like I said, somebody else has already solved that. But again, mostly, why is it in the hands of private companies? It was really done all by hand, and it's still being done by hand. And hopefully, there will be some more technological solutions out there for that. And that's it. Thank you, everybody, for for sharing. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Robin, for your final comments. Ari, I'd like to bring my second question to you. We know it's a challenge proposition for legislature to transition from the in-paper or the document-based processes to treating legislative information. So coming back to my question, the XMLization of the legislative drafting and amendment process is an excellent example of the technical expertise required to evolve how legislatures deal with their data and allow the user interface teams to work to provide the best information for their users, while the opposite would mean an extremely manual process, as just Robin was mentioning as a part of her comments. My question to you is, what are your thoughts on this topic, and how XMLing the drafting process would enhance the ability to access and use legislative data for citizens, for members, for staffers, for everyone interested in the legislative discussions?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. So for those who aren't familiar with XML, the primary idea of XML is structure. It creates structure in a document, and that structure is actually natural for legislative documents. So I don't want to make it sound more complicated or even more technological than it is. The insight that you need to have is that a good XML and a standard XML that will work for legislative documents tracks what citations have been doing for centuries. So for example, in the United States, when you say Title 42, Chapter 21, Section 1981A, which is the Equal Rights Under the Law provision, that is a structure, a hierarchical structure, and you place that into XML. And back to sort of what Robin was saying, which is exactly our situation, when you have that hierarchical structure and you can point to that place in the law in a digital form, you can also automate, or at least semi-automate, the amendment process, because you have a processing engine that understands what the amendment says. You know where to go in the law because you've translated the citation into a URL. Basically, you have a one-to-one between a citation and a URL, and you can automate many of the processes. The thing, now that's the part for us, and I think for what Robin's doing that is very exciting. For the general public, it's the simple fact of being able to click a hyperlink and get exactly the part of the law you want. So that's the, if I were to leave anybody with, or, this panel with the main insight of what we're trying to do, it's to translate citations into a hyperlink that you can just open up exactly the place in the law.
Thank you so much, Ari. Satpal, would you like to comment on Ari's response and on my question?
Great, thanks, first of all. So I believe you are posing the debate like this, that situation of manual or a transition from manual to the digital. I would say this is like a one parallel which you can draw is like bringing life to the documents. So this is how I will put. The technology is basically bringing life to those. Otherwise, that document in its whatever that manual form can't be used at all. It can't be accessed. So if you can't access, you can't use it. So the moment we talk of anything of XML or of any data form or the digital journey, maybe a baby steps only, the moment is that it starts, it brings beauty, it brings life into that. Now, how I say so, see the 3S, when I say 3S is you have now the ability to store it, you have the ability to search it, you have the ability to share it. So these 3S will bring the whole wonder into it, right? Then I think the wonder also comes from the Unicode, because that Unicode ability of that XML is like the universality of or versatility of that thing. I think XML in all other formats, there are good number of other formats, but the flexibility which XML provides, so that's also unparalleled. So therefore, I would say it's like a TINA thing. There is no alternative. You have to go to digital journey, and as soon as you do, it will be good for all of you as a stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments, Satpal. I'd like to invite now Shahin to share his thoughts. Shahin, would you like to comment on these questions and to what the colleagues just said?
Thank you, Luis. I think when we're thinking about creation of automation system of legislation, first idea to come to mind is XML. That's why when we began to create our system in 2008, we want to create our system on the basis on XML, but we cannot do it because first we have the current system, which was based on Word format, and we think we thought on that time we have to convert all information to XML. It was for us very difficult. In despite that, we created special application for converting this data into XML format, but I cannot do it. And other problem was is that we have to create. We thought to create special editor, which in background it was XML, but user does not see. Even we create special software, but it is draft. We cannot finish yet. It looks like that. This is a template of the laws. This is articles, chapter, name, and everything. But user doesn't see XML, but in background, all information keeps in our database in XML format. But in future, I think we create at the same time add here different form templates, document of templates or law templates, and I think it will be a very good way to creation automatic legislation system. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shahin, for your comments and for sharing the work you have been doing in the Parliament of Azerbaijan. Robin, would you like to comment?
Yes, XML has been a great way to share information among the different systems in the Knesset. One, there is actually a project that for some reason started and then stopped. I think part of the reason it stopped was because it was being run by another department, but that's another story. Anyhow, the project there was also the same way that that Ari was talking about making the laws themselves interactive in the sense that you can click on one of the what do you call it? I guess not a chapter or the actual line in the law that you want to get to and you want to jump to there. Actually, in the Knesset, they were trying to do the same thing and to make what they call an interactive protocol. The protocols of the debates in the Knesset plenum, in the chamber, and they were going to try to go ahead and, again, with as little human intervention as possible, to make these documents XML based, and then from there be able to create links to all of the other parliamentary documents and entities that are connected to it. So straight from the protocol, you can link to the law that was debated, and you can link to the query that was asked, and you can link, and again, with the whole idea being that you don't have to have a human going and, you know, creating these links, it should be automated. Hasn't happened yet. It's a dream. It's a project that, again, had started, and I'm not quite sure why. It's funny, I haven't even thought about this project in a while until you mentioned the interactive, interactive laws. So whatever, again, the idea is that, yes, I think that even though it's funny because XML is already starting to be called something like, an older technology, but you know what, old is good if it works. Don't fix something that's not broken. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin. Adi, would you like to share your final thoughts and close this round?
Yeah, I just appreciate what everybody has said here. And again, I would just go back to something that I'll be saying later on, which is, I think, the first stages of modernization is to take care of the lowest hanging fruit, the things that make it more accessible for people. So a lot of times, and I think everyone on this panel, one of the things I've been happy to hear is that nobody's mentioned artificial intelligence, machine learning, because a lot of times people think that the modernization of the law requires some kind of magic. But what we really are looking for is something pretty simple, is just to get access, So what Satpal was saying, just to be able to get to the law easily where you weren't able to get it before, that's the primary thing that we're talking about.
Thank you so much, Adi, for your comments. Now, I'd like to bring a question for you, Satpal. Basically, we know the different areas in the legislature that lead specific processes, as I mentioned in the beginning of my intervention, such as legislative drafting, Hansard, procedural, amongst others. They all have their working process and incorporated institutional traditions embedded in their processes that will directly affect the ability to provide standardized data formats within the same legislature. I'm not saying between institutions here. So my question to you is, what are your thoughts about this? How can, at the same time, we hear different colleagues, different areas to support their needs, and at the same time create a standard for legislative data being treated by the institution?
So thanks, first of all. I think that's the most relevant question as far as any technology transformation is concerned. See, I believe all of us understand whenever any technology implementation is to be there, it's the PPT, that's the key word. PPT stands for the people, the processes, and the technology. You have to have three combo of these three. If all three are not in sync, your technology transformation may not work. So therefore, what you are emphasizing is a matter of importance. Now, coming to the data standardization, yes, definitely interoperability so that you can integrate the whole solution. That's the key. And let me share with you one example, like how in India in the past as a legacy we were doing. So there are various branches within the parliament which cater to different parts of the business of, let's say. So all such branches, let's say if they are catering a different services to the honorable member of parliament, when a new assembly, when a new parliament joins, look, right after the elections, they used to ask them to fill up the form for each branch separate. Just think of that, means around 20 branches, so each MP would fill up 20 different forms. what is the value? Just think of this. This is the era in which we were living. So now what we have thought of is, okay, make a one format which should cater to all such branches, take their data online and then just distribute. So this is the beauty, or this is, I believe, the change management is also a part of that, because habits die hard type of thing. So maybe we have to take the people along, we have to think of the change of processes and then to implement the technology in stages. That's the key. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Satpal, for your comments. Ari, would you like to comment on what Satpal just said?
Yeah, I just would underscore that, I think we're all working for the benefit of the public, right? And so we need to be looking for ways to make sure that the workings of Parliament continue efficiently, but we don't want to forget that our ultimate, customer, our ultimate people who are serving are in the public. And so it's, I think, important as we look back, especially for a company like ours that works directly with the legislature, to know that we're helping them in order to do their job to help the public.
Thank you so much, Ari. Shahin, would you like to comment?
Thank you, Luis. On my every speech, I say Parliament has specific business process, which are different in other government organization. I saw Knesset and many parliaments use private company to solve, to create software application or something like that. But in Parliament, we use our create all application in house. We did not provide any private company, because I think because Parliament has a specific business process, all companies to create universal application or software for like a production. In that case, where they create specific product, it will be cost. Actually, it will be expensive product. Then, if you suffer this application, it is also required money, something like that. Even when we use Bosch electronic system, voting system in Azerbaijan Parliament, we notice this application doesn't allow to vote what deputies proposal. It does not have such a feature. You can only vote on the bill. You have to choose the name of the bill and start with it. But as you know, Parliament is a collective institution with different groups, and during the legislation may appear different proposals related with the bill, and you have to vote on this proposal. But as many parliaments were also customized software. We create our softwares which work on the Bosch companies and so on. And I think even I want to show another application, our Parliament, we called it verbatim records. It is mean this you see is our last plenary session, which what happened yesterday. Here we can watch and listen any MPs with is related with the bill. For example, we can listen. At the same time, we can watch here. I think private company, for him is very different to understand that problem of the Parliament. And I saw many companies, many parliaments use system speech to text in order to convert. I know many parliaments has problem, because any conversation has locks. But in our case, you see, I saw only his speech without any manual work here. We had just great such system on a base Bosch system, which allow to get this information flow setting from the panel station. I think that's why I think every parliament such similar helps every parliament to get experience on that issues, because in despite that different parliament, different countries, but business processes for every parliament is the same.
Thank you so much, Shahin, for your comments. Robin, would you like to share your thoughts as well?
Yeah. Okay, first of all, something that Satpal mentioned before about change management. I can totally relate in the Knesset when we would have a change of parliament, a change of Knesset elections or whatever, which, by the way, today they're going to vote to disband the Knesset again. I don't know if anyone of you follow the Israeli politics situation, but we will be going to our 5th set of elections in 2 years. So we've been doing a lot of change. Every time that there's a new parliament, we're putting, there are new Knesset members, old ones are going out, lots of change. And yes, we had a problem also where Knesset members, when the new incoming Knesset members would be filling out more than one form. Okay, I mean, you mentioned 20 or 30 forms for each one. More than one is already too much. And that is something that has actually been improved over the last few years. And finally, we were able to say, you know what, the accounting department in the Knesset and the website, we can put all of our information on the same form, or all of our questions on the same form, let them just fill it out once, and we'll all just share the form afterwards. And you know what? Someone finally said, yes, that might work. And we figured that out. And that's how it's been for the last few, after the last few elections. And we're very happy about that. I would like to comment what Shahin said about our shared needs as different parliaments. And one of the interesting things that we found always is, well, 2 things. One is that you also mentioned about outside sources or outsourcing or outside developers, developing for the parliament. And yes, so we have 2 different experiences with 2 different kind of outside developers. One is what happens for the most part in the Knesset, which is we have an outsourced company that has workers in the Knesset, but those same workers have been inside of the Knesset for years. So they have become, even though their salary comes from a private company, those same people have been part of the institution. I mean, one of them has been in the Knesset longer than me. So that puts him at like 27 years in the Knesset. And he is still, his salary does not come from the Knesset, but he's an integral part of the system there. And a lot of the other developers that are developing for the Knesset have been there. So you can call them already, their loyalty is actually divided, because yes, they have to be loyal to the company that pays their salary, but at the same time, they understand the needs of the parliament. Anytime, and almost any time, the Knesset has commissioned an outside company, now not that outsourcing that sits in the Knesset, another outside company, almost every time it fails, because those companies are not familiar with the legislative process. They just don't get it. Okay, but at the same time, so I would say, or I would see that Ari's position, where he is an outside company, but an outside company that specializes in legislatures, okay, and I'll call it the lawmaking bodies around the world. What you said before, Shahin, is very true. In the end of the day, our work is closer to your work than to, let's say, the minister or the Ministry of Internal Affairs. In other words, there might be another government body in Israel, but I need to look at your website for inspiration or for ideas, because what they do over in our ministries has nothing to do with my parliamentary work. And so that's why all of us around the world who work in the different parliaments we're all kind of like this little club because we all understand each other. You don't even have to like, as soon as you open your mouth and say, wait, we had that also. We had the same situation. So yes, it would require an outside company would really have to, in order to be successful in providing software development for legislatures, really need to understand how they work, need to really become almost a part of it in order to be successful in what they provide.
Thank you so much, Robin. Before I yield the floor back to Satpal, just sharing that we have recently wrote a chapter in partnership with Fotis from Greece. It will be released in partnership with the European Parliament in September, but I can spoiler some of these parts to you that we brought to the attention of the public that the digital transformation is a risky proposition for parliaments, and parliaments, they don't have the appetite for risk as, let's say, a technology company, for example, or other areas of the society. So collaboration with other legislatures, either parliaments, colleagues, and subnational legislatures as well, and specialized companies, it can severely diminish the risk. Because as Robin says, and I love this expression, Robin, I have to say it, you have to shop for ideas. You have to see what others are doing. So basically try to see, copy, paste it, and adapt to your reality. It will severely diminish the risk taking when you are considering a digital transformation process. I apologize for taking this moment outside of my moderation, but I had to comment on this. Satpal, please feel free to share your final comments on this round.
Thank you. I believe Shahin has brought another dimension to the whole debate by picking up the topic of should it be in-house or should it be outsourced. So I believe all of you may be aware of our Lord Buddha, who basically believes that it is the middle path that is the best path. So here also I believe that is the answer to that. See, as a parliamentarian, we can't be the specialist in technology, whatsoever it may be. So therefore, you always need a support of some technology specialist who can guide you. Because once you are in-house, your technology-related developments, what are taking day to day, you can't update to that extent. This is my sense. I may be wrong, but this is what we are finding. In government, when you are there as a technology person, vis-a-vis when you are in the private sector, you can see that how daily basis the new and new technologies, whether they are mature or not mature. So those things are there. But still, great salute to Mr. Shahin that they are taking up all this on their own. And I believe if they just add a flavor of something as an outsourcing, maybe they can reach to another heights. Best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Satpal. Shahin, the last question of our debate is for you, but if you wish to answer what the colleague said before your answer to this question, please feel free to do it. I will bring the question so you can bring all these considerations to your comments. And our question at Bússola Tech traditionally, it tries to envision the future of legislative modernization. And my question to you, Shahin, with the comments of the colleagues here, what existing technologies do you believe your legislature in Azerbaijan could make good use of in today's challenges to make legislative information available? And my second question to you is, what are the new technologies that you would like to see being developed in the coming years, let's say in the coming 5-10 years from now?
Thank you, Luis. I think we don't develop technologies. These technologies comes to us from the companies like Microsoft, HP, and so on. But any case 30 years ago, we didn't know about XML and JSON. We have just tried on that days relation database for the structure, law, and something like that. But then appeared XML, but now JSON, or even I think in future in Azerbaijan Parliament we will be focused on JSON structure of the law or something like that. But main thing, I think, first we have to develop digital transformation, improve it. Because if you will have all information in the virtual area, it is easier to remove from XML, from JSON, or from the database, or into the XML. But I say easy, but I mean we know way how to remove this information from is other format in like that. I would like to show another example. In 2010, when we developed our verbatim report I showed before, we didn't know even we didn't have idea to put videos there. But we knew that on that time we will use this data in other indexed video data. But if that's why we 2010 we created special software which will be recording all video plenary session. But result of indexing we show in 2009. But if you want, for example, here I found, for example, Ahundova is the name of the MPs, to find her speeches, all her speeches in the election of falls, election fees, any case she has, we have a video of information. Any time for her speech. In despite that, in 2010, we didn't know we will be use this data in order indexing video. That's why I want to finish my idea. There is a proverb English for keep a thing 7 years and you will find a use for it. But you have to do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shahin, for your considerations. Robin, would you like to share your thoughts?
What the line that Shahin said earlier is that we don't develop our technologies, but they come to us is same by us. You know, if it's out there and it will be useful for again, I'm on the front end, okay, for displaying or bringing the information to the public, then we'll use it. You know, again, I'm also a big fan of I said this line earlier, which is if it's not broken, don't fix it. So even what we might call old technologies, just because it might look bad, that you have a certain extension on the pages of the website, and people might say, oh, that's so old and so outdated. Well, maybe it works better still in the end of the day. Maybe these technologies are more fitting for our needs and for the needs of the public. We don't have to be fancy. We have to be practical. And I do want to actually say something on the feature that you just showed us with the video and the searching in text that leads you to the video of. We also have that. And when we first put that up on our website, I don't remember when it was. I also want to say around 2010, around then also, we did something similar. We put it up online. And at the time when we put it online, we, the Knesset staff, the website staff, thought it was too show-offy. What do we need this for? And you know, how useful is this going to be for the public? Who really needs it? And it turned out, give it enough time, and it turned out that it became very useful because, again, it was the only free text search in the protocols of the plenum, that can also lead you to that piece of the video that you want to be seeing at that particular time. And in the end of the day, the Knesset members who, again, sometimes we see them as our secondary clients. Our first clients, of course, are the public, but we also have to really be there for the Knesset members so that they can serve the public. And it turns out that using that same feature of searching in the text in order to find the piece of video was very useful for them. And they were so happy to be able, because then they can get to that piece of video and cut the piece of video and then put it on their own YouTube channels. Wow. And who knew back then when we put it online that someone was actually going to be using this. So yeah, sometimes what we might call new technologies in the end of the day surprise us later on. And you know, I hope that all of us can go forth using new technologies to reach our public in, you know, in better, faster, and more friendly ways.
Thank you so much, Robin, for your considerations. Satpal, would you like to share your thoughts as well?
Thank you very much. I think the way Robin described that initially they were like very conservative on showing those videos, and then they found different ball game value addition for the users. So maybe the lesson coming out of that is that we should be open. We should never say no type. We should always experiment. Like, who thought of that one day iPhone will allow us to just scroll that and all that touch screen usage, because nobody asked for touch screen as a user. It is they gave us, and then we found, oh wow. So this wow factor will come once we'll use the futuristic technologies. So as far as India is concerned, we are thinking of certain use cases for applying artificial intelligence where this speech to text is there. The more important, which we feel as India, is because multi-language our country is, there are more than 20 languages are scheduled. Otherwise, there are more than 50 languages which are spoken. So that's the challenge which we are thinking, that through AI, we can translate all our documents, and even our website should be friendly, and those clippings or subtitles can come in different languages. So that is one ask for us. Then going to the next stage of even futuristic technology is the use of AR and VR, right? So this is augmented reality and virtual reality. That is the feel, that is the immersive experience. So a journey from starting from a basic data, reaching to the experience level. I think that is how we should structure it. Definitely it can't come in one shot. It has to be in stages. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Satpal, for your considerations. Ari, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, so I'd like to, well, first I'd like to say I'm not going to take it personally that some legislatures are cautious about outsourcing. I think that is actually a reasonable and the right approach. We're not Facebook, for example, you know, and I think as a support for legislators, our job is to move carefully and not break things. On the other hand, I'm very excited to hear that Satpal and the other panelists are thinking in futuristic ways. I really think that the companies that support your work should actually sort of build the infrastructure and the platforms and allow the people in Parliament to do the visionary work. So in terms of what I think our job is to look at the near future, so not the further future that Satpal was talking about with AR, but more change management and being able to look at the history of the laws, so that any moment you can say, what is the law today? What was the law 2 weeks ago? And what was the law 6 years ago? It seems like a simple request. It seems like everybody should already have that. And whenever I tell anybody who's not in this field, hey, wouldn't it be great if you could look at what the law was 2 weeks ago? And they're like, you can't already? So I think part of our job is to make available some of the things that people just assume we already should be able to do.
Thank you so much, Ari, for your comments. Shahin, would you like to share your thoughts and close this last round?
Thank you, Luis. I say in 2015, I make presentation about in Brussels about it is 2015. Using legislative information management system in multilingual parliament, and seeing on that time we offer for the multilingual parliament such interface, but here you will have a button for the speech in different languages, at the same time flow speech and translated speech. We offer it 2015. At the same time, in 2014, in IPU seminar in Seoul, we make a special website related with our method or tools for parliament and parliamentary procedure. And even here, we share our two softwares for making audio record software, video record, and say for everybody can use this software free, but it is accessible even now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shahin, for your final considerations. Before we end, I'd like to yield the floor very shortly for each one of you to say your final thoughts on this debate so we can proceed to our closing. Since we started alphabetically, we are going to finish alphabetically as well, but on the opposite way. So Shahin, would you like to start and share your final thoughts on today's debate?
Thank you much for you. It was very interesting to hear every panelist. It was very interesting to learn about the Knesset, and thank you for organizing such seminars.
Thank you so much, Shahin. Satpal, would you like to share your final thoughts on today's debate?
Right, thanks. First of all, here I believe thanks, so many thanks to you for connecting us together, giving us a platform. And I have a request, if you can share the email IDs of all who are there as a panelist, because ultimately, as you said, collaboration is the key. So the more we will understand and know from each other, that will go to the root of the technology transformation. So it is my request, if you can share the contact details of all panelists, that will be great. Thank you very much, and best wishes to all of you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Satpal. Robin, any final thoughts on today's debate?
Well, first of all, I would like very much to thank you and thank everybody. Thank you for hosting the debate, and thank you everybody for sharing. There is a saying in Hebrew, which basically is who is a wise man? Someone who learns from everybody. That's the definition of somebody who's wise. And again, in striving to be wise, I would always like to be learning from other people. The knowledge is not all with us. And here I'll requote your quote, which was, shopping for ideas. In the end of the day, when we want to do something new, when we want to improve what we're doing, we're always going to be looking in other places for inspiration. It's not all inside of us. It's, we have to go find it in other places. So thank you. Again, thank you very much for sharing. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to learn new things and to share our experiences also out there.
Thank you so much, Robin. Ari, would you like to share your final thoughts on today's debate?
I just want to thank you also, Luis, and it's been a privilege for me to be here with Shahin, with Satpal, with Robin. Just really amazing to hear all of the work that's being done around the world. We often work in our small niches thinking that we're the only ones doing the things that we're doing, and it's just great to hear some of the same challenges, putting the video up online in Azerbaijan and Israel around the same time. So I was going to ask about the same thing that Satpal did. I would love to get the contact information, because we really are, I think, a small group of people who are passionate about this work around the world. And it's always encouraging to see that there are others with the same interests and working on some of the same problems. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Ari. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Shahin. Thank you, Satpal. It is a pleasure for us to host this opening debate on this gathering, as Satpal said, and the International Parliamentarism Day. So as Ari said, we are a very small community, sadly, working and trying to think on how to modernize legislatures. So I think it's not an option for us to collaborate. I think it's a requirement if we want to modernize the institutions, for us to exchange ideas, for us to keep in touch. And even informally exchanging messages on what we're doing, I think this is extremely important. And this is the reason for us to be. This is the reason for Bússola to be, to connect you guys, to make all of your outstanding work to reach other parliaments and for colleagues to learn from it. So thank you so much. It was an honor to moderate this session, and have a good day, all of you. Thank you so much for your time.